Hashim and Dr. Waslizawati for the grateful memories. All participants are kindly invited to enjoy the refreshment and we will resume. And in 15 minutes, while waiting for our next session, we would like to inform you that we have invited our food vendors to showcase the local specialty food such as kek lapis Sarawak, butter cake and laksa Sarawak Fest. All participants may find this window at the back of the hall and can enjoy the food sampling, offering and may purchase them as souvenir box. Thank you.
berapa Benny duluan?
Kalau ikut
Ni lah, Benny.
ikut gambar.
Mana? Dia punya ni slide.
Dekat desktop. Tu.
Ni.
Benny Move Vendor. Okay.
Dua aja.
Sebab
Ali Reza.
tu atas.
Mana?
Ini kot.
Ni.
Ali Reza tadi pun kita dah ni ke?
Tadi kan dapat dah Ali Reza bagi PDF oh. Mana?
Itulah ke?
Oh ni.
Tu. PPT.
Tak apalah. Sebab bukan serentak pun. Kita buatkan satu folder boleh. Mana?
Di atas. Keynote ni.
Tulis slides.
Kita nak ni.
Tak tulis apa? We will be back after this
Break.
Break.
Nampaklah memang mata bayaran 3,000 rupiah. We will be back shortly after this break.
After this break shortly.
Taklah, we will be back shortly lah. Itu je lah.
Yang tadi after this break tu apa?
Ha?
Yang after this break tak ya?
Tak ya.
We will
Tapi
be back.
betul lah, tulislah. After tu nanti sekejap lagi kan kenapa?
Kan?
After the break lah. This
After break. After the break. After this break lah.
Mana nak nampak stream tu?
Hello. Assalamualaikum. Welcome to our third IJCDSS 2026. We will write back after this for the next sessions. Welcome to third IJCDSS.
untuk preparation. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Our program will begin in just a few moments. We are kindly request all guests to make their way to their seats. Thank you. A kindly reminder to ladies and gentlemen, our program will begin in just a few moments. We kindly request all the guests to make their way to their seats. Thank you. Doktor Mubinda. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we shall now continue with the keynote forum session. Stage. And also, I would like to welcome Dr. Jain Yassin from UiTM Sabah branch to moderate the keynote forum session.
The mic is here, right? Yes. There's only one mic.
I will hand over this session to the moderator, Dr. Jain Yassin. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. MC. So, good morning, distinguished speakers, participants. So, today, the next session I think is very interesting because we have three very prominent speakers, right? Experienced scholar and so on and so forth. So, we have three distinguished panelists who will share their perspective on for sure, based on the themes, right? The digital sustainability as well as regional prosperity. So my name is Dr. Jain Yassin. It's my pleasure to serve as moderator for today, sessions. So before that, I will introduce the three prominent speakers. First, we have Professor Dr. Beni Cahyono. Hopefully my pronunciation is correct, So Professor Dr. Beni is basically the Professor of Sustainability and Supply Chain Management and currently lead the Clean Growth Research teams at the Center of E-Mobility and Clean Growth. He has extensive experience in sustainability, circular economics, as well as sustainable operations and supply chain management, supported by numerous research grants from UK, Europeans, international funding bodies, and so on and so forth. So the list goes on. His research focusing on applied simulations, modeling, life cycle assessment to develop sustainable manufacturing system. Balancing people, planet, and profit, which is the mantra of SDG. And also it's very prominent supervisor, supervised more than 18 PhD and more than 100 master students and involved in research, teaching, mentoring, and so on and so forth. So I think we have mostly the prominent speaker talking the most important topic today. So I think that will be the first speaker. So the second speaker, Madam Movinder Kaur Sindhu, hopefully my pronunciation is correct. Currently is the Pro Vice Chancellor for UCSI University Sarawak campus. She is experienced educator with strong background in education management and sustainable development, skill in coaching, staff development, teachings, as well as the sustainable development and higher education. He played a very important role, a key important role, especially in regional center of expertise, RCE, as well as the education for sustainable development in Kuching. And also she was also the instrument in having the REC formally acknowledged by the United Nations University. She is strong operation professional with master degree in project management from Curtin University, bringing together expertise in education, project management, organizational developments, and again, the themes of sustainability. And the last but not least, also very prominent scholar, Associate Professor Dr. Ali Reza Muhammadi. is an academic and researcher at City University Malaysia with expertise in business management, digital transformations, emerging technology, AI, consumer behavior, e-commerce, and again, the words of sustainability is there. So, and he also the IT solution industry expert and Hall PhD in business economics from UPM, University Putra Malaysia, MBA in information technology, IT from Multimedia University, and currently serve as the City Graduate School at Center of Foundation Study. She has published widely international in Scopus Index journals and conference in research spanning AI, digital transformations, sustainability, tourism, and business performance. So that will be the three speakers. Maybe we give a clever round of applause. Okay. So the first, we have the first sessions. Basically, I will invite all the three speakers to begin their individual presentation first. Then we will have a set of questions and answer, and also for sure I will open the questions to the floor. Right. So first, I will encourage also everyone to keep their questions. Right. And because I will open again the opportunity to discuss during the panel forums. So let us begin with our first panelist, Professor Dr. Benny Cahyono, who will speak on, I think it's very important and very interesting. It's quite technical, but I think it is very important, especially we talk about sustainability, battery as a service, creating economic, environmental, and social value. Okay, so are you okay, Prof? Are you ready? Okay, so Professor Benny, the floor is yours.
Thank you. This one?
Maybe, yeah, I think you can this one.
So first and foremost, thank you very much and very good morning to all of you. Thank you for inviting me and thank you for having me at this conference. This is my second conference to IJCDSSS conference. So first time I joined in Medan last year, and I hope that I can join again in Medan next year. So first lesson I learned from Professor Hashim is check your things, if it's working or not. Oh, it's not, maybe not this one maybe. Oh, not ready yet, so yeah, here we go. Is it working now? Yes, it's working. Is it working or not? Yeah. Okay, my name is Benny Cahyono. I'm originally from Indonesia, and maybe you can guess from three things. Of course, from my name, and probably from my accent, and obviously from my color, the color of the presentation. Well, I actually learned this trick from a colleague of mine from Poland. You know the color of the flag? The other way around, exactly. So every time we come together, we just share the flag, and I just look around like this. The topic that I'm going to talk is about rather boring battery topic, but hopefully you can learn from something. But before I go on to that topic, I would like to comment on one thing. When you go to a conference like this, of course, I'm presenting to you about my topic, but the other thing is I learned a lot from Professor Hashim. What a fantastic presentation you had. It's obvious that his background about hospitality, so nice, so calm, so joyful. Yeah. If you do research in hospitality, you listen to him, it's so calming, isn't it? So very cool. Until you are trying to publish in hospitality journal. So I had quite a number of experience in publishing journals, and only in the last 3 years, I attempted to publish in hospitality journals. And you know what? It's the most inhospitable journals I've come across. If you go for for travel research, International Journal of Contemporary Hospitality and Management, IJHTM, you get 6 reviewers, ladies and gentlemen. I don't understand why. Practically it's so good, so nice, but when it comes into publication, The fiercest comments that you can get is from the journals of hospitality. Welcome to the world. Betul, Professor, betul, ya? So the easiest journal is engineering, actually. Engineering science is very easy, very polite. Anyway, so that's my experience. But so I gave up now, Prof. I don't touch, I dare not touch hospitality anymore, and I leave it to the expert. The topic I'm going to talk about is batteries, and that comes from the center that I work, the Center for E-Mobility and Green Growth. As you can guess from the name, it is to do with e-mobility. E-mobility means that electronics, isn't it? Electric. So anything to do with electric vehicles powered by batteries, of course. So the topic that I'm going to share with you is called battery as a service. You probably think, ooh, what do you mean by battery as a service? You know, from the beginning of the civilization, battery has never been a service. It's just the thing that generates electricity, then you can use it for EV, for whatever it is. But I'm going to look at that. First reason is that Coventry University is probably the first UK university developing batteries, and we are very proud of it, developing batteries for EV cars. So we've got this a prototype of batteries, and if you haven't seen a battery inside the car, that's how it goes. So that little batteries, yeah, about this fingers, about your thumb size, there are 4,000 of these inside a Tesla 3 model. I'm sure you know Tesla car, yeah? There are 4,400 of those little batteries like this. So you can imagine Tesla is already selling about how many millions around the world probably by now? 12 million cars. So can you imagine how many little batteries inside a Tesla car? So that's, so this little battery is called a cell. And the way you arrange, or the way they arrange these little cells is by combining into a module. Yeah, so that little box, smaller box is a module, and then you combine the modules into a pack. Then you put this pack underneath the car. Yeah, that's how it works. So that's the two typical size of batteries, 21700 and 18650. Very funny names because it only tells you the diameters is 21 millimeters, the height is 70. That's why it's called 700. And if you have 18650, 18 millimeters diameters by 65 millimeters. Yeah, and that's used in Tesla model. There are about 4,500 cells inside that Tesla model. So that's how it looks inside the batteries. Yeah. This I also learned from my colleagues in the science. Yeah. So they have two layers. One is the cathode, one is anode, and then they roll the cathode and anode together, put it inside a tube, and you get the batteries. Okay? And then this is how pictures of people making batteries in our universities. Yeah. The equipment. Yeah. And this chart shows you how many batteries will be in circulation by 2035 and how many we have at the moment. So you can see basically by 2035 there are millions of those batteries. Of what? Of battery waste. The reason is because in the car you don't use the battery until 0%. Only about 70 or 75%, that's the end of life from the EV cars. Yeah. So when the car is reaching its end of life, what do? Well, of course, we in quotes, we throw away the cars because they are waste. Yeah. But the problems with the batteries, as you can see, you know, with waste alone is already dangerous. Imagine that you have waste of batteries, fires. So, what do? Well, in the world of sustainability, of course, if you have waste, what do? You process the waste, right? And similarly with batteries, you process the batteries. But because batteries are all chemicals inside it, what do you need to do? You need to recycle it, right? You have to recycle, then you get some materials from the batteries. Now, there is a problem with recycling. Number one, before you can recycle the batteries, what do? You have to be able to dismantle it, right? You have to be able to disassemble it from the pack into a module back to cells. Then you can start the recycling process. But even if you can get that little batteries, what's the problem? The problem is risky. The dismantling process is difficult, it's risky, it's dangerous. The chemical process, the chemical components is complex, yeah? And more importantly, imagine that big battery, you probably only get this. Orang Indonesia bilang seupil lithium, seupil cobalt, seupil nickel. So the process is expensive, but you only get this little. But let me tell you why this is very important. As a country like the UK, who do not have natural resources like nickel, cobalt, lithium, what do? Well, we have to secure it. So recycling, one way or the other, will be needed for the continuation, for the security of energy. But as you imagine in this chart, the recycling process to get that seupil nickel requires a lot of work, yeah? And therefore, we said, why don't we give batteries a second chance? Because the life that remains in a battery is 70%, 80%, we can still use it for something else. So we can cascade it for the second life. Now, at this point, you're probably familiar with the term circular economy. Anyone not familiar? See, everybody is familiar because no one raised the hand, so everybody is familiar with circular economy. So the circular economy is very simple. Three principles of circular economy: that you do not use or you do not create until you really need it. When you really need something, you make it, but you use that thing for as long as possible, correct? And then after that thing reaching end of life, instead of throwing it away for incineration, you actually recycling it. And you can see that's the reason why you have the circularity in there. Now, the point of this circular economy I'm talking about is that there are 4 basic principles of circular economy. And I'm going to talk on the first one. The first one is called the power of the inner circle. So coming back to that circle, the smaller the circle is the better. Why? Because the least energy that we need to produce or to do that activity. The bigger the circle is, the worse, because the more effort, the more money, the more energy used to recover the materials. So, now that you know, now I'm trying to push the ideas that when you use the smallest circle in the circular economy scheme, that means you want to use the battery straight away after the circulation. So we want to extend the value of the retired batteries. I want to be able to directly reusing it, and I want to be able to, if I can reuse it, then I will tear it apart and put it in a circulation by remanufacturing it, and only when I cannot do anything about it, I will recycle it. Yeah? So our colleagues, scientists, they are working with recycling. They have to wait until we really cannot reuse anymore. When we talk about battery reuse, yeah, what do we reuse it for? Of course, for business. Of course, to develop our economy, to develop our competitiveness. And for that, we do need the so-called business models for that. And if you look at the literature of strategic management or business process management, there are 3 things that's important when you create the new business model. The first one is that you need to understand the profit formula, right? You need to understand the revenue and you need to understand the cost. And then you need to understand the resources that is required to gain that profit. And finally, the processes that you need to develop in order for you to bring that profit. With that introduction, now we move on to the so-called battery as a service. So the battery as a service is a manifestation of a business model, the so-called product service systems. You probably have heard this term. Product service systems means a combination of product and services. People no longer buying product per se, but they are buying the functionality, buying the capacity, and buying the performance of that product. With the battery as a service, it means that you no longer buy the battery per se, but you are buying the energy of the batteries. You are buying the performance of that batteries. In the battery as a service typology, typically there are 5 types of the usage of these batteries. The first one we use as a swapping system. So maybe if you have Gojek, if you have Grab motorcycles, I don't know whether they exist in Sarawak or not. I haven't seen one, yes. So these drivers, they usually swap the batteries. Because the batteries don't belong to the drivers. The drivers only own the motorcycle, and the battery is owned by another company. The second model is called battery energy, BESS, battery energy storage systems. Basically, from a car, they take the battery pack and put it somewhere in a system that can then power houses, can power other electrical stuff from that. And also we have fleet battery services by a company owning lots of batteries, and then they have contract with those buses in London, and also other logistics company. Again, the logistics company don't own the batteries, that company owns the batteries. And also many other models of battery as a service, for instance, the portable battery service, whereby, have anyone got a power bank with you? Has anyone got power bank and no power banks? If you have power bank about this size, this power bank is about this table. So if you have a festival, you usually use gen set, don't you? Generator set. But nowadays they don't use gen set anymore. 1 is smelly, 2 is noisy. So if they use the batteries like this, it's very quiet. So that's portable battery services. And finally, you have the residential battery storage, whereby you power your house from PV, solar panels, and then you keep the energy from that solar. 3-dimension, when we develop this business model of battery as a service, we need to look at 3 things. The first one is the so-called characteristics. So it asks the question, what the system looks like and who it is designed for. So if it's designed for housing, then the design for that batteries will be specific for that. And then the performance of that batteries will be different from one typology to another. And finally, how we as a stakeholder working together to make the battery as a service work. I touch on the issues of battery disassembly, and this is one of the topics that my PhD students is working on, because as you imagine, you want to use the battery as a second life, you need to be able to disassemble it first. So if you cannot disassemble, then there's no way, there's no point of doing that. Is anyone familiar with this diagram? Those who are studying business management, you must be familiar with the 5 forces of, who invented the 5 forces? Porters, exactly. So that's the 5 forces, the Porter's 5 forces. And I'm exactly using the 5 forces of Porter's to analyze my dismantling activities. Because the dismantling businesses, they are at least pressurized by 3 things. They're pressurized by their supplier, they're pressurized by the buyers, and of course their competitors. So they're pressurized by suppliers in the sense that when they are receiving second-hand batteries or end-of-life batteries, they do not know what the batteries will look like, the standards, the shape. So if there are at least 70 different variations of car batteries, and they have no idea what it looked like. But they need to be able to dismantle it quickly and efficiently. And then they may not know what their customers want. So the customers want to use it for BESS, the customers want to use it for other businesses, and so on. Yeah, so apparently I have to keep talking until they get my slides. Ah, here we go. And then the customers wants to use for different purposes. So that's complicated thing. It's just a picture of how complex it is to disassemble a battery, and why why it matters. Because the first thing is that if you are doing this business, the first thing that you need to make sure is what? Safety, isn't it? So if you're not careful, you're playing with explosion. You're playing with something that can explode. So it's very important. Now, once you're able to dismantle or disassemble the batteries, the next part is that you need to be able to know which batteries that are still good, which batteries that are still not good. That's why they have to split it into different things. So the ability to monitor or to diagnose a battery is really critical here. I'm not going to go through this detail, but I just want to tell you diagnostics is very important here. Well, as the theme of the conference is to bridge the different disciplines, so I hope you realize that I'm already bridging the disciplines of the boring science, the boring engineering, and the business side of it. Okay? But the organizers leave me with one more homework. Pak Benny, you need to be able to talk about digitalization because the conference is about digitalization. Okay, so let's take a look at one part of digitalization in batteries. Is there such thing? Yes. From next year, February 2027, all batteries will have identification. All batteries will have akte kelahiran. Orang Indonesia knows akte kelahiran. Or they need to have passports. Okay? So that's called digital battery passport. Regulation number 1542 of the European says that all batteries with capacity over 2 kilowatt hours on the EU market must have akte kelahiran. Now, the digital passport is no more nor less than a blockchain system using a QR code linked to a database somewhere in the cloud. So, and that QR code uniquely identified a single battery in my thumb. So every single battery will have the identification. For the purpose of compliance, for the purpose of understanding what's inside the battery and what the battery has been throughout their lives. So now I'm going to think about this. If every single battery is recorded, so the history of you going around recorded in your passport, also recorded in the batteries, that brings a lot of implication to the battery as a service. If you are doing the battery second life batteries, you get the benefit, lots of benefits. So the benefits is that, number one, you get a full transparencies of the condition of the batteries. So that you are no longer need to test the batteries. Because when you read the batteries, you will see, aha, that battery now about 80%. The other one, you scan that batteries, that's dead, go away. Yeah. Which means that there's a lot of things that can change because of this digital technology. And the last point there I want you to take a look is design and circular economy perspective. By being able to take a note, the detail of each batteries inside the passport, then you can change right from the design stage, or you can take a note right from the design stage until the end of life of that battery, and everything is recorded inside the passport. So to recap my presentations, there are lots of benefits from this business battery as a service model. Number one, economically, of course, what kind of business that give you the most profit? Of course, business of waste, isn't it? You get waste for free and you sell it. Yeah, that's money. Kerching. And then secondly, when you are able to utilize battery waste, you got to help environment. Because you can use the battery for as long as possible. You reduce your recycling, you reduce your waste. Environmentally, tick in the box. And finally, so socially, when you have this new business model, you got to develop skills. When you develop skills, you develop jobs. Here you go. So hopefully by now, I'm doing my job to link the economic, environmental, social, as well as bridging the two disciplines, science, engineering, and management. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prof. I think it's very insightful presentations. So I've jotted down a few important questions for you. We'll return that after this. Okay, so we move to our second panelist. Yeah, Madam Bovinda Kau Sandu who will speak on digital transformation for sustainable future, advancing regional prosperity through collaborations. The floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. Right. From batteries to now people and collaboration. That is what I will be talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Right? Let me just get to my slide. Okay. Right. So anyway, that's me. I am the Pro-VC of UCSI University. It's a branch campus here in Sarawak. Our main campus is in Kuala Lumpur. We have another campus in Spring Hill, Negeri Sembilan. We also have foreign branch campuses, one in Bangladesh, and we are looking at opening up a few more branch campuses overseas. I'm also, I'll say I have the privilege to chair the Regional Center of Expertise, RCE Kuching, which I'll be talking about at length, in my address. So let's get to it. Let's talk about digital transformation and how we can connect it to sustainable futures. Now, when we talk about the future, right, when we generally have conversations about the future, there are two things that dominate our conversations. One would be the massive technological advancement that's happening. Of course, we have AI, there's massive data processing, there's hyperconnectivity, right? And the other one, right, is sustainability. Now, we talk about preserving the environment. We talk about having equitable societies, right? And of course, thriving economies. These things dominate our conversations. The digital transformation, the technology side of things, and also sustainability. But very often, these two conversations happen in separate rooms. I suppose that's why we have the theme of today's conference. How do we connect these two? Digital transformation as well as sustainability. Now, let me ask you this question. It's something to reflect on. When we talk about transformation, what is it that we are trying to transform? Okay? Is it technology? Our businesses? Our universities? Our communities? Or ultimately, think about it, are we trying to transform the quality of life, the opportunities that our people have in our regions? Because don't forget, it's about regional prosperity. We're trying to connect all of this eventually to the people. So I would argue that, ladies and gentlemen, that technology itself is not the transformation, but it is a tool, the enabler, right? And the real transformation happens when we are able to provide opportunities for our people, improve their quality of life, strengthen communities, and ultimately have sustainable futures. So, if you look at the slide, let me see if I can navigate. Okay. The baseline philosophy of my keynote will be the fact that technology is the tool, the enabler, and it's the people that we are looking at. It's providing opportunities for people that will ultimately equal to regional prosperity. So in my next few slides, that's what I will attempt to do. connect digital transformation, connect technology to sustainability through talent, through collaboration. And let's look at how we do that. Okay? Now, when we talk about technology, there are three things that we often use interchangeably, right? We use the word digitization, digitalization, and you'll hear about digital transformation. So what are these three? Are they distinct? Well, let's look at digitization. It's very basic, very operational. It's a bit like converting a physical paper file into a PDF. Go one step higher and you look at digitalization. That's like improving a process using technology. For instance, instead of filling up a physical form, I can actually go online and submit a form online, right? And if you look at digital transformation, that's a lot deeper. We are looking at using technology still, of course, using technology to create outcomes that were previously thought of as impossible. That is digital transformation. It involves an ecosystem, an organizational and cultural shift. Now, very often, organizations make this fatal mistake. They ask questions such as, which technology should we buy next to be competitive? Which technology should we buy next? Or which AI tool should we install? But what in fact they should be asking is, what is the human, the operational, and environmental problem that we are trying to solve? That should be your starting point, ladies and gentlemen. So the question they should be asking is, what exactly are we trying to solve? And this question becomes particularly important when we talk about regions, because prosperity is not just about the physical infrastructure anymore, right? Yes, it's important to have beautiful buildings, bridges, roads. All of these are absolutely necessary. Yes, they still, equate to regional prosperity. But then again, we have to think about, moving into the fact that how are we able to connect people, connect communities, connect small businesses to the outside world, connect students to educational opportunities outside. So that's when digital transformation or technology becomes really powerful. The ability to connect people, knowledge, technology, our businesses, and also our institutions. Now, talking about people. Now, for a long time now, leaders, policymakers, academics have been talking about the digital divide, and usually people talk about the physical infrastructure. Do we have computers? Do we have the laptops? Do we have 5G? Do we have Wi-Fi? Right? Okay? And so, again, these are absolutely necessary, but they are no longer the true barriers, not at this time. They are no longer the true barriers of progress. What we should be looking at is, do our people have the confidence as well as the capability? Are our people digitally literate enough to use technology? Do they have the skills to use AI? Are they able to use the tools that we have to offer to them, right? And beneath this capability layer is the one on top, which is confidence. Do our people, or are our people able to step into the digital future without fear? Because if we are unable to overcome these two, then of course there will be obstacles to be able to innovate and of course collaborate eventually and create that meaningful impact that we need for regional prosperity, right? And so this brings me to the core intersection of my keynote, which is aligning the digital agenda to the green agenda, which are the true pillars or the key pillars of regional prosperity. And of course, if we separate these two, we are simply wasting resources, I must say. And we will have conflicting priorities, for sure, right? And so, in looking at these two, we actually see this convergence already happening, right? For instance, using digital sensors to monitor energy consumption, that's happening, right? Using IoT to optimize supply chains, and reduce waste. Using digital systems to improve or redesign urban transit, for instance. Using IoT, again, for precision agriculture, to support precision agriculture so that you are able to ultimately optimize your crop yields. Digital platforms for, to expand access to education, and of course, all these digital systems that eventually are supposed to help us to make better decisions. So we see this already happening, right? And so there are three. So how do we move from just technology adoption to real transformation? So there are three fundamental shifts that, as I said when I began this address, are these core areas. One would be, I'm sorry, it's not coming out too well, the people, right? Let's move from technology-enabled systems to more people-driven, ensuring that everybody is able to use the technology, right? And and eventually no one is left behind. And you're not bogged down with, trying to understand the systems. And then, of course, comes the part where we need to look at collaborative ecosystems. We have to find active links between universities, the industry, the government, as well as the communities. There have got to be this constant flow of information or knowledge between these, core areas. And then we have, of course, impact. I think we have to, well, at least from where I come from, go beyond just knowledge creation, just beyond academic publishing, but creating real value, real impact, right? And this is where education for sustainable development comes in, where we look at creating measurable outcomes and looking at not just the knowledge and the skills, but also instilling values and attitudes that eventually lead us to a sustainable future. So, education for sustainable development, is key. It's something that, what I'm talking about is all instilled or are the core principles here in this framework, education for sustainable development, moving from traditional education of just delivering knowledge to building, attitudes and values within people. And so it's a holistic process. It's not something that's an add-on. We have to really look into making this framework more mainstream. It's something that we are currently also working on at the RCE Kuching, right? And so, in talking about ESD, we often focus on the knowledge, the cognitive, the knowing part, and then that's something that we as academics usually do. But we cannot neglect the the social-emotional, the being as well as the behavioral, the values and the attitudes that we have towards issues. And then unfortunately though, this is a study that was done by UNESCO back in 2020, and I'm sure it still holds true today. There's just too much focus on the cognitive side of things, and that's not enough, right? You need to be able to focus on the social and emotional as well as the behavioral aspects of learning as well, to bring the true transformative power of education. Okay, and so how do we operationalize ESD, right? Ladies and gentlemen, collaboration is key. All right, we have to make sure that universities, the industry, government, communities are able to come together. Again, we've been hearing this, the silo mentality has got to go. If we are looking at real transformation, all of these people have got to be working together. We have the universities, engines of knowledge creation, right, as well as talent development, and then we've got the industry who are aware of the problems of the market and they can scale solutions, they have the resources to scale solutions, right, and the government with their policy, frameworks and so on, and of course the communities who have the real needs. So we have to understand them as well. So in talking about ESD, this is a very important, or I would say a very good reference that you can actually look at. It's a publication, it's a framework, ESD for 2030, framework by UNESCO. It's for whole governments to mainstream ESD, right? And it carries the same message, about collaboration, about working with youth, working with whole communities, governments, educators. But one of the key things in this framework is universities have the real power to actually create this collaborative framework. That's so very important for transformation to happen. Okay, and is it possible? Can there be collaboration between the industry, the universities, communities, the government? This is one proof of concept, RCE Kuching. And when we first set up RCE Kuching, and there are around 200 of these centers around the world focused on education for sustainable development. So when we first set up RCE Kuching, one of the key things that we were informed by the United Nations University, by the way, it's acknowledged by the United Nations University in Tokyo, Japan, one of the key messages was, you cannot do it alone as a university. In order to set this up, you will have to prove to us that you are able to work with communities, you are able to work with youth, you are able to work with whole communities, the government agencies and industries to ultimately use education as a tool for a sustainable future. And so our vision is really very simple. We just want to support transformative education and translate SDGs in the local context. And that is why we have RCE Kuching, right? And you have RCE Kuala Lumpur, for instance. Right? And RCE Kuching is the very first one that we have here in East Malaysia. And our core pillars are through R&D, right? Working on real problems, through R&D, outreach, of course, and most importantly, collaboration as we look into education. Okay, all right, so this is where universities, well, from the background that I come from, universities need to rethink their roles in society, right? There are two operational strategies that we can, use in order to make that happen. One would be, having universities as living labs. This is where classroom walls disappear. No longer do you have the confines of a classroom to deliver the information. Academics, students, industry, communities, they work side by side to solve not hypothetical case studies, but to solve real problems. And the other thing is, the other one that goes side by side to this is the praxis concept, and this is something that we hold dear at UCSI. It's a Greek word, praxis. It means practical application, right? It's beyond sending students for internships. We want to be able to have students walk out of our campuses, having had the experience in the industry, be able to solve real world problems and be ready, really, by the time they get into the industry. That's what the praxis concept is all about. So there's a lot of emphasis on experiential learning and practical application. So eventually, ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about higher education in the 21st century, it's not just about creating digitally capable graduates. They have to have the skills, the knowledge, the values and attitudes to really create measurable outcomes, to really create value in their communities when they go out there, and to really understand the sustainability issues that we are facing within our industries and of course globally. And so I would like to end by leaving you with this question. Yes, what kind of region do we really want to build, right? Technology shouldn't be dictating our narratives. We control our narratives, right? Let's use digital transformation. Let's use technology to transform our communities with purpose, right? So, I will leave you with this equation. At the end of the day, it's the talent, the collaboration between the key parties that we spoke about that will eventually lead us to sustainability and, of course, thriving economies. We want our regions to be prosperous. So let's step out of our silos, okay? All right? Let's build our networks so that we are able to eventually have sustainable futures. So that's all. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you so much, Madam. I think it's a very good presentation. Also, indeed, it's very crucial. I say we talk about partnerships, especially the SDG. SDG 17 is the blanket of all SDG partnership, right? But for sure, so we go to the last speaker, as I said, Professor Dr. Ali Reza. So with the title, The Future of Event Management, Food Preparations and Quality Assurance in Actions and Educations, Role of AI Integrations in Monitoring System. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Very good morning to one and all. First of all, I would like to appreciate the conference organizing committee for having me and for bringing us all together around the topic of digitalization and sustainability in social sciences. There is a lot to unpack when we talk about AI. But for today, specifically, I want to focus on the future of event management, food preparation and quality assurance with the role of AI digitalization in monitoring systems and sustainability in dining. More specifically, in event management, smart kitchen quality assurance, and digitalization and AI in education. Let me share with you about event management, the front-end experience. Perhaps this was my very early experience getting involved into digitalization and digital transformation when I was working at an IT providing company, Sirix Solution. We received an inquiry from National Museum of Singapore. They came to us with a problem. And we go to these meetings, we want to find out where the problem is, so what we can propose as a digital solution. The problem was the bottleneck. People come at specific times, there's crowd management issues in the venue. They don't know where people go in the venue, so they had a solution. They had a physical activity there. I believe you experienced it. I've seen it a lot recently. The physical activity is, you go to the venue, you get a card, you go around the place, you collect stamps, and then at the end maybe there is a reward for participating in the activity. But this wasn't solving their problem because the crowd, they couldn't control what time people show up and how long they spend in the museum. So how the system worked, if I summarize it very quickly, the system we proposed and implemented that time was to design a system that people register prior to their arrival. When they arrive, there is a specific QR code. They scan the QR code, their attendance is captured, and then they go through an order of activities throughout the museum. Each checkpoint holds a specific activity where they participate in watching a video, answering a question, playing a game. The whole experience is a gamified virtual scavenger hunt. Have you heard of, this game was quite popular back, Pokemon Go? Some sort of Pokemon Go where they go, but it's not that complicated to look around because we don't want people to get lost in the museum. We just want to control what time they show up, how long they spend in the museum, and what time they get out. And the cherry on top, the last activity was to snap a photo with a virtual photo booth, plus their comment about the activity and about the visit, and post it on a huge digital wall, which helped to raise awareness. The beauty about digital systems and digital transformation is it's replicable. Once we have the system, with tweaks, we can implement it in different events. Like we got this virtual scavenger hunt and we implemented for the launch of the movie, The Batman and the Riddlers. Everything, the flow was the same, the registration, the activities, but at the end the reward was slightly different. They get merchandise Batman rewards. All going on and on, different projects got me thinking, because when we have new members joining joining the company, we have to onboard them on how to find out the problem and what solutions to propose. I came up with this roadmap to digitalization during that time. I'm going to speed through it, but feel free to ask questions, especially on this slide later during Q&A. The first 4 stages are data collection time. The golden question first, because sometimes when we talk to people about digitalization, they know there is a problem, but they cannot communicate it. We have to get it out of them. What is the purpose? What is the objective of the event? The first most important question. Second one, how is the system working currently? Maybe we can get some clues to transform it into a digital system. Third, how do you foresee the digital solution working? Well, sometimes they tell you some sci-fi ideas. I want the digital hologram to jump out of the smartphone screen and all that. But sometimes we also get some nice ideas on how they foresee the system to work, so we can move toward that. We are still collecting data. We want to see where the problem is. Next, we ask about how do you measure the success for the event? Is it controlling crowd? Is it brand awareness? Is it interactivity with the brand? So on, so forth. Once we have it, we identify the reward, what's interesting for people to participate in this digital activity, implementing a pilot system, for the team and for the client team to go through. And with the tweaks, at the same time, we do contingency plans. What happens if the system shuts down, if internet is disconnected, if there's a power outage? It all has to be in place. Once it's done, we do the system delivery, we keep monitoring, and we save it for future usage. That's what's happening in the front end. Now let's go back end to smart kitchens, the revolution happening behind with the integration of AI into our CCTVs. By the way, about the event management, if you want to know the role of AI, bear it in mind, we discuss it during Q&A. Do we have participants from China? Anyone from China? All right. During my first trip to China, I was not so impressed, but the next time I went there, I followed one of my friends, a local, and he showed me around, and I found out something really interesting, how they are integrating AI in their kitchens. AI in food quality is set at $2.7 billion in 2024, and it's projected to reach $13.7 billion by 2030, which is over 30% annual growth rate, demonstrating a huge capacity. Why do we want to have AI in kitchen? First of all, when I say AI in kitchen, how do you see it working? Can you imagine AI in kitchen? Do you write some commands and then it will tell you how to cook, or it will cook for you with robotic arms? How does it work? Well, in this case, for today, I'm talking more toward the integration of AI in surveillance systems. I want to move the focus from robotic hands to the surveillance system. There is a critical need for AI to be present in kitchens. Why? As humans, we have this limitation. We need to take a break. We get distracted. We even blink. We may miss something in supervising kitchens. There is currently one inspector for every 44,000 meals prepared. 44,000 to 1. That is the recipe for catastrophe. Means we will know there is a problem in kitchen only when people get sick. Then we go back and find out where the problem is. Or we know there is a problem when people start writing negative comments. Then we go back, find out. Now imagine if, all right, that's me in China. When I went from Henan to Guizhou. Guizhou is the place I came across this system. Let me speed through this. Yes. So when I was in Guizhou, my friend took me to these restaurants, and it was really random for me to stumble upon these systems in the beginning. I asked for a demo footage, but they couldn't share because of privacy concerns. So I wrote a very long, detailed prompt to AI and asked them to make me a video that looks like how AI integration works in quality kitchen assurance. Could you help me play this video?
AI isn't just observing, it's protecting. Facial recognition confirms identity. As he moves, invisible overlays track every action, hand washing, movement, hygiene, compliance. This isn't surveillance, it's assurance. AI-driven hygiene, where safety meets innovation.
Now, was the video clear? Do you have a better understanding of how AI integration in surveillance systems can deliver quality assurance in kitchens? I show you some, but I can share with you some screenshots of how I saw and I learned about this surveillance system. It's based on 3 main pillars: pest and organism recognition, where, there are smart CCTVs where they can capture movement. But AI integrated systems, in this case, the system is trained to identify what's in front of it, 24/7, no rest, all the time, and record and report it in a dashboard. So it can track if there is a rat in the kitchen. How close is the rat to the food? Or if the rat interacts with the food. If it's a critical issue, we'll raise a red flag and contact the supervisor to immediately attend to what's happening in the kitchen. The second pillar, action behavior. From the time AI is trained to know who enters the kitchen, what actions they do, like washing hands, if the chef is, for example, smoking during cooking, or how long even it takes them from receiving the order to starting to cook, can capture everything. Prof is smiling. I know you're thinking about all the privacy issues in UK if we want to do it there, yeah? It's already being done in China, but I'm sure to get to UK and US and Western countries is gonna take 20 years. And the third pillar is the 3 white item recognition, which tracks kitchen staff at all time wearing proper suit, the chef hat, gloves, mask, and the white dressing. Not only that, can also identify the supplies, the quality of the supplies. It's trained to understand what a good supply looks like, what a rotten tomato looks like, and so if there are issues in the quality of the food, can refer back to all of this. And the screenshot you see there is actually the dashboard, the report. This report can be for individual personnel in the kitchen and also in general for the whole kitchen operation. There are 3 main views. One, they display to the customers when they come to the venue. Another one for the supervisors, how they see it. But the main one, the main commanding view, which gives detailed insight, information about operational efficiency in the kitchen. So this gave me a very good idea. When I came back from my trip, I started this research with one of my students around if AI is doing so well in quality assurance of kitchen and canteens and catering industries and enterprises, why is it not adopted more often? Why is it not spoken of more often? We found 4 main factors contributing to this. The usefulness of how the system operates, the ease of use for people, for the kitchen staff to work with it, the culture in the kitchen where people feel comfortable working while being surveilled with AI integration, and the government support to deal with the steep initial investments required to implement these systems. Long story short, our paper was accepted for publication, and we found out that AI integration mediates the relationship between perceived usefulness, ease of use, cultural acceptance, government policy and support for AI, and operational efficiency in catering enterprises in Guizhou province of China. So, in my opinion, this is how the future of kitchens will be like, of restaurants or catering enterprises in another 10 to 20 years, where there will be another standard plate beside the Michelin. The stars show how well the kitchen is being surveilled with the integration of AI in it. With all this mighty power of AI, I believe most of us are from education background here. All this mighty power, and what do our students do with it? Copy paste the assignment, get the generated answer, don't even bother to double check and verify, paste it, go back, start praying. My lecturer doesn't find out I did it. I use AI. Well, I believe the main issue here on the use of AI in education is lack of guidance and transparency. There is like a hidden, like a, how do we call it, like an invisible wall between the lecturers and the students. The students don't want the lecturers to find out what sort of tricks they have up their sleeves. And the lecturers also doesn't want to show the students how they can find out if they are using AI or not. However, we have a very strong tool, the Turnitin, which can identify the percentage ratio of AI usage in generating or paraphrasing and rephrasing, excuse me. With proper guidance, and I don't mean it to be something we do every semester or every year. It could be like a video recorded introduction on Loom in 5 minutes. We explain to students, we try to encourage them to use AI. I'm actually with the use of AI for the students. I encourage my students to use AI with the point that they use it in a way to boost their creativity and productivity rather than just copy-pasting questions and getting generative answers. So, AI digitalization. If I want to wrap it up, the question is, how are we going to receive AI? Is it with fear and hesitation that it will replace us, it will do all the things? Or with the curiosity to learn about it, with the fire to shape it the way we want? AI digitalization change come to those who have the curiosity and fire and no fear. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I haven't played Pokemon Go before, right? But for sure, we can agree that AI has become more prominent in many things. Okay, we just proceed with the questions. We start with Prof. Benny. I think we revisit again the battery as a service, right? Based on your title, basically you are highlighting the economics, environments, pillars, as well as social, as the what we call the three outcomes that you want to achieve through the frameworks. However, this is just based on my observations, right? The social value, I think, is less prominent in your in your presentation, right? So, based on your perspective, right? Are these three values are equally important, yeah, in this model, and especially when we want to develop business model, how we want to balance this, Prof. So over to you.
Okay. Thank you very much for a simple but difficult question. So my response, first of all, is that what is it that's obvious? If social is not obvious, so we think that the economic benefits and environmental benefits are more obvious, right? So that's your, okay, no, I understand that, because it's obviously a lot easier to understand the economic benefits and the environmental benefits than the social benefits if we look at these three as three different silos, right? But if you look at the benefits, when you reach the economic benefits from the service, for the battery as a service, for instance, people can now develop businesses in spent or retired batteries. Imagine, retired batteries are so cheap, and they can develop new businesses from that. Their economics, their financial, they gain revenue. That means that the first level of needs is achieved, right? So economically, you become more affordable. Yeah, you become, you know, your welfare is determined by the first level of, which is economics normally. Yeah, and then secondly, if the battery as a service bring lots of benefits to the environment, in the sense that you can use now batteries for longer. When you use the battery as a service to ensure your energy security, for instance, your energy resilience, then people can menikmati electricity. Yeah. People from the village, from the remote area, can enjoy electricity. Of course, then your level of welfare is increased. So all in all, it's very difficult to separate the benefits of economic benefits, environmental benefits, and we think that there's no social benefits. But by achieving environmental benefits and and the economic benefits, we actually achieve the social benefits. Yeah. So social benefits is not just about job security. Of course, when you're able to learn new skills, you open up new employment opportunities, then obviously the social the social benefits will appear. But when you look at the environmental benefits and also the economic benefits, then you will achieve the social benefits. I hope that makes sense to everyone here, that it's not just about three different silos, but also silos that are actually linked together. Yeah, that's why sustainability has never been looked at three different things, but also in conjunction. SDGs, the 17 SDGs, never been looked at in 17 different things, but also into one big thing.
Okay.
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. So the three is basically under one umbrella, right? Yeah, okay. So thank you so much, Prof. We will revisit again, talking about more deeper issues, especially on risk and so on and so forth. I will proceed with the Madam Movinder again. Partnerships, collaborations, right? It's very important. However, how we want to move from beyond discussions and networking, for instance, because you mentioned about connecting. Beyond that, because for sure we want to produce measurable output as well impact. How to make sure that for sure we get the impact from these collaborations. Over to you.
Very complex, very complex. See, back when we set up RCE Kuching, right, that was in 2018, when we were trying to get the buy-in of government agencies, communities, the academics, the team members to form RCE Kuching. It was not easy, ladies and gentlemen, for them to come together and think about that one direction, that one vision that we were trying to achieve with the setup of RCE Kuching. Ultimately, what we were trying to tell them is, let's identify a local sustainability issues, such as rivers conservation. Do we have a problem of that here in Kuching? Because if we do, then we will be able to get that buy-in from the government, the respective government agency, the communities. But it was important that we start with the communities first. Again, I'll come back to talking about what is the problem that we are trying to solve, right? With the SDGs, the 17 SDGs, these really are sustainability issues that the world faces, right? So how do we actually talk about the problem first and then think about the impact that we are trying to make? Because only then will we be able to, get the buy-in of the communities. Only then they will see us as not other academics just coming in for a research project. So it's definitely not easy to do, for sure. It takes months, it takes years. But ultimately, if you are able to show that big picture of what you are trying to do, you will eventually be able to get all of these people together and hopefully create the impact that you are trying to make. And again, it's all about collaboration. It's all about being able to, think of the outcomes, the big picture at the end of the day. So yes, that's. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, so thank you. I think we will talk about deeper on what is intervention needed to achieve the impact. But I will go to Dr. Ali Riza. You mentioned about how the AI become the integrations, right, for the event and so on and so forth. In terms of integrated into monitoring system, I think one of the concern, right, I don't know whether me or everybody else also having this concern, human conflicts, right? Human conflicts in terms of how we can ensure that the technology enhance, or AI just now, enhance the human decision making rather than replacing human responsibility.
So your question is more on the privacy concern or humans being replaced?
Yeah, human being replaced.
Humans
Human
being
conflicts.
replaced.
Yeah.
All right. My thoughts about this is simple, but maybe not the way we like to hear. I had this conversation many times with people from different industries and from education, and I tell them, if AI can do it better than us, why not we let it do the job? I'm sure we will find some other things to do, some better things to do. If AI can do it better, we let AI to take over that task that is now most of the things that are repetitive work, we outsource it to AI. What is this new one? OpenClaw? OpenClaw, Claude, Mavius, Manus, all of these AI agents are replacing repetitive work. And in future, maybe jobs will be taken over. But if specifically we want to talk about quality assurance in kitchens, it won't replace humans, actually. It will be replacing the outdated system of human monitoring and smart monitoring. Smart monitoring can only identify something is passing, but cannot identify what it is. And human is the ratio of 1 to 44,000. So even during that time, they blink, they receive notification on their phone, they get distracted with so many other things. So I believe if AI can do a better job on this area, let it replace. Why not? We will find much better things to do. We will have more time to think about what we can do better.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. The audience will have question on this later on. Okay, so we discussed about the future, right? But we also discussed about the current situations, the risks, and also the barrier. I think this is very important. I will pose this question to all speakers. Risks and also the challenges, right? Maybe we start with for this round, we start with Dr. Al-Riza first. Yeah, in terms of, you mentioned just now. So, but what is the biggest risk and also barrier for having the integrations of AI?
In AI context, it really depends on what context industry we are talking about to identify the challenges. For example, in this case study we did, the main challenges are the usefulness, ease of use, government support, the culture for people to accept under being surveilled by AI. If we move to other contexts, these variables would be different. But if I want to organize it generally to say, one is that is work in progress, it will change, and it will take people time to learn and then to train others. And then once the training is not over, the new system will come. They have to go through. It's a fast cycle right now. The other thing is the initial fees and investment required to implement AI into systems, which of course with some government support maybe that would be much easier, similar to what is happening in China right now. And what else? the challenges in AI, I can think of, I believe, the subscriptions, the technicality of the systems. All of these different packages affect the way we think of adopting it, and the fear, especially the fear of people thinking, oh, it's here to replace me, I'm going to be out of job. These are the main challenges I would see in AI adoption.
Yeah, Doctor, basically your example basically from China, right? China models, business model, and so on and so forth. But in terms of, let's say we want to replicate that model to Malaysia, for instance, right? Or maybe other developing countries, right? Like Indonesia and so on. So in terms of readiness, that's one of the challenges, the readiness of us to adopting the kind of model, or should we localizing that?
If I want to do a comparison, readiness, it depends a lot on the legislations, how they want to manage it when the technology is here. So I believe there's still things to be done, so we know how to adopt and implement AI into the systems. I cannot specifically say if the system is ready or not, but I believe there is room for improvement at all time with AI. China is very active in this area. When I saw the system, actually the first thing I asked, with a little bit of Western mentality thinking, I said, so how about privacy? Like they are being observed 24/7 once they enter the kitchen, and then the report highlights even the number of times quantifiable where, for example, the chef accidentally touched their face, and the difference between touching face and nose. The system can identify and include it in the quality assurance of kitchen operation. And their answer was very simple. Number one, we don't want to we don't want to catch people red-handed. This is actually a general standard we are putting in place. We're not going to punish people for that. We are going to train people to do better. And number two, if when surveilled, they perform better, why not? And I was like, I don't think we can say that in Western. Like you watch closely at what people do. It is a lot of conflict. A lot of laws has to be rethink and rethought. Do we say rethought? Thanks to my English teacher, rethought. Maybe later on, Prof. Benny can also talk about how it's approached. I believe it's a very sensitive topic if you want to talk about it in UK or in US.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Doctor. So I think we move to, I think the similar questions posed to the second panel. Siloness. I don't know whether this is the correct word. Siloness, silo, working in silo, right? It's still an issue today, right? Yeah. So what is the risk, and also what is the challenges to having impactful partnerships?
We will just have broken systems, right? Collaboration is key. We simply cannot be working in silos. We won't succeed. We will eventually end up being left out, okay? Universities, for example, we have to rethink our roles in society, otherwise we would eventually be phased out. There won't be universities anymore, right? So we have to, whether it's universities, whatever industry, key is collaboration. We have to make ourselves relevant, and that is only possible by working with industries, working with looking at real problems. Impact is the key thing here. And talking about AI, the risks involved with AI as well, will we be able to eventually control AI systems, right? We see AI hacking systems, we see AI being used in bioterrorism, all of these things are happening. And no one element is an expert. No one university is an expert. I think we have to stop thinking that, we are the knowledge creators and, and all of that. We cannot do it without working with the industries who are very familiar with the environments. Like I said, they have the resources to deploy solutions at scale, right? We have to understand the problems of the communities in order for us as universities to be relevant, right? Or any industry to be relevant. So collaboration is still key. If we are going to continue working in silos, we will just end up being left out. I think that's important. Yeah.
Very quick, madam, basically, who should take the role of leading the issue that you mentioned just now?
Yeah, well, universities are well positioned to do that, right? As I said, we are host to this regional center of expertise, Kuching, that is not supposed to be, just the university alone. We are forced to work with communities. We are forced to work on real problems. We are forced to be living labs, really, right? And not just to work on, some case study taken off, some paper. We have to, really look into practical application. So universities can be a good starting point. And we try and develop active pipelines, with the industry, with the government agencies, with the community. So we are a good model to start with. And of course, eventually we can scale this to other industries. But I think universities as the engines of knowledge and talent development are a good place to start with.
Thank you. I think, okay, so we go back again to Prof. Again, same questions, risks and challenges, Prof. Again, the case study just now, I don't know whether the model that you have developed so far is basically based on the UK itself, but looking into, we compare also with developing countries. So we're looking into the risks and challenges. Prof, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. The lady is already watching you. Quick. Okay, so the main barriers you're asking me, the main challenge is actually, you look at the theme of the conference, and they are real. You think the word building bridges, what is that? Building bridges across borders and disciplines. Do you think it's generated by GPT? No, it's not. It's real. Not by GPT, by Claude. But I'm joking. But that's the difficulties. That's the challenge, is building bridges across disciplines. I'm very fortunate that I experienced the two worlds of engineering and management. I grew up as an engineer. Later on in my career, I went into management. I come across difficulties. The engineering and science people will say, you are nothing without the invention of batteries. And then the management people will say, no, you're only playing with the thing, you need the management to do that. But I think when you are able to visualize and you're experiencing the two worlds, and you can see that one side will not be able to flourish without the others, then you will see how beautiful it is, this bridge that was built between the two disciplines. I hope you get my point.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. I think it's time to, I have another few questions. I think we want to open also to the floor for questions. So I would like to open any question, maybe one or two questions. Okay, so maybe introduce yourself and make the questions short, yeah?
Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. My name is Pengira Muhammad Zaid from UIT in Jauh Salam. Okay, I have a questions for speaker 2, Madam Rita. Alright, we often talk about the digital transformation and sustainability as the mutually reinforced strategy. Okay? So my question is, how can digital transformation strengthen collaboration among business, community, and government agency, and not forget to other stakeholders, okay, in achieving sustainability goals. That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, so when we talk about digital transformation, right, it involves deep problem-centric thinking. It should involve deep problem-centric thinking. So it's not just about transforming your technology. Like I said, it's a tool, right? Technology is the enabler. But oftentimes they are seen as separate agendas. So how do we merge these two separate agendas? So this is where the question about talking about where the true transformation comes, which is really, strengthening our communities, talking about, building or having better quality of life. So all of these align together through talent. We need talent, we need the right people, we need people to go beyond just having access to having the confidence, to having the capabilities to use this technology, collaborate, that will eventually then create these sustainability or sustainable futures. And of course, what we want are our regions to be prosperous at the end of the day, right? So, don't get too worried or caught up with the word digital transformation, because at the end of the day, we should be asking this key question, which is, what is that problem that we are trying to solve? Are we solving real problems using technology? I think that's why we have this theme, right? Digital transformation and regional prosperity, because we need to come back to this path of using AI or using all these, predictive data analytics, all these digital systems. They are there, but are we able to use these systems for good use, right? And so that is what we should be ultimately asking ourselves. Because if we start with these questions, then we are on the right path, right? So I hope I've answered your question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Maybe another questions from the floor. Okay, yeah. Oh, okay.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon. My name is Zoira from Unimas. I'm actually from Nigeria.
Oh.
My question is to the first speaker. You made mention of lithium as one of the components for battery production, right? And you said in the UK you don't have the resources available. You need to obtain it from somewhere. Then my question is, where are you going to obtain the mineral resources from? That's one. And secondly, is it going to be a negotiation or an arrangement between the organization seeking the mineral resources and the host community? Because let's assume the host community won't have the resources to process the mineral resources we have, right? So what is going to be the kind of synergy between the obtainers and the givers? That's thirdly, is you made mention of the social benefits, right, to the society. You made mention of job security, job opportunities, and what have you. But the problem now is in Africa, where I come from, Nigeria specifically, we have problems of insecurity, social displacement in most communities, especially in communities where mineral resources have been obtained from. You see, in the northern part of Nigeria, you have gold, you have lithium, you have a lot of mineral resources there. Instead of the society enjoying the benefits of all these resources due to lack of processing, it is actually being absorbed because they get the resources that are called artifacts here, right? Now, a lot of foreign societies just stay, leave the resources abundant and enjoy their peace, or giving out the resources and suffering.
Okay.
So thank you so much.
Yeah. So, Prof.
Thank you very much. Very interesting questions. What was the first question again?
I think it's more on resources. I think it's more on resources, right? So maybe you. Okay. The first questions. No need to elaborate. Just pause the questions. Yeah.
Where do you get the lithium from?
The lithium.
Oh,
Okay. I mean, the lithium you can find from China. You can find nickel from Indonesia. You can from cobalt from Indonesia too, and other countries exporting the materials. That's where you get it from. I cannot answer how you get it from, because then you have to negotiate with the governments of those countries, right? I mean, if you have problems everywhere, not just in Nigeria, it's also most part of the world with that. So I'm just saying that when then touching on the second part, I was touching only the part of batteries as a service using second life batteries. Yeah, I dare not touch the first part of that, because I know that even UK we are importing batteries also from different countries. We build the battery as a smaller scales, but there are countries out there who's developing and manufacturing batteries at much larger scales. I know which country I meant, right? And what I'm saying is that once the batteries coming into our countries, could be to Malaysia, could be to Singapore, then it is up to that country or those countries to do something about the waste of that batteries, right? Because the countries that exported those batteries at the first place won't be able to take the waste of it. So what I'm trying to put forward here is that once you've got the end-of-life batteries, what do you do with it? Do you do something? Do we have the safety net from the government to ensure that those waste of batteries do not harm the environment, do not harm the people, yeah? And on the other hand, create employment from that? So that's where I'm coming from, really. Because the first part of your questions is not my talk. It's going to do to a different department called politics. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, I think it's good answer also. We open only one last question because of the scarcity of time. Yeah, the gentleman, yeah.
Thank you. I just want to elaborate or have similar question, but I would like to add some more. My name is Eswati Hamdul Tami. I come from West Borneo, Nipura University. And today the question is about a professor. Some developing countries have abundant array of a lot of natural resources for battery production, but they still lack the technology capability to develop a competitive battery industry. How can this country overcome this capability gap to move on the battery value chain? Thank you.
Yeah, to you again.
Yeah, very good question. Yeah, I mean, are you coming from where? Tanjung Pura, right? You know Brin, right? Brin. Yes, we have to develop the capability of that. I mean, as a country, if you do not have the capabilities, you're left behind, simple as that. And how to bridge that? Investment. Some governments investing on other things, like free food, for instance, some government. But hey, you have priorities. So it's up to the government to prioritize where the countries wants to go. And but in principles, you need to have this capability. You need to know how to turn battery waste into something less harmful and becomes more useful. That's another capabilities as well. That's why I'm saying to you before, this is so beautiful because this conference topic is about bridging these two disciplines. And I mean it. Last night, I really looked at this. This is not something just the motto of a conference. This is not something generated by GPT. But even though generated by GPT, the meaning is so deep. And the meaning, I really like this meaning because when we live, we cannot live in one area. We need to bridge those things. And I come from electrical engineering background. I don't do research, battery research, don't get me wrong. It's not my area, I don't understand the nitty-gritty of batteries. But I saw my colleagues developing the batteries, and I'm thinking, oh my God, in 2035, if we don't have the capability of turning those waste into something less harmful, the whole island will be full of batteries waste. Okay. So that's why it triggers my interest in looking into second life batteries. I'm interested in waste. I'm interested in trash. I'm interested in rubbish. But the rubbish that can be turned into something, again, maybe less on the economic side, but I'm really scared of this waste because the batteries, let alone the EV batteries, you touch on these iPhone batteries or mobile phone batteries, pierce it, see what happens. Fire, right? So on that little thing, imagine the 4,000 batteries, and that's for one car. And in 2035, huge number of cars will be in the market. And again, I cannot control, that cars coming to my countries. But what I can control is that maybe we can do something about it. We can develop skills. We can develop jobs coming from that. Jobs replaced by AI, maybe we can turn into some people doing a recycling job of batteries. Robot cannot do that yet at the speed that people can disassemble batteries. So if you go to disassembling battery facilities, there are lots of research talking about automated disassembly machines. That doesn't happen yet. People will still, companies are still using human beings to disassemble that. Why? Because of the safety. But I'm sure it happens in the next 5 years.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I think the Secretariat have been giving the sign because of, again, the scarcity of time, yeah? Okay, yeah. Yeah, very short, sir, yeah.
Interesting, the two questions came from developing like the technology to do. And I want to add something here as first-hand experience from someone from Iran. If you talk about development of strategic products, you're talking about a very long, very difficult, very expensive, and very dangerous process. The technology will not be given to you for free. It will come with some sort of strains attached with it to control something in return. Like if you look at the real case study from Iran, when it wants to develop its natural resources on its own, what happens? A lot of sanctions, a lot of issues. And then when they still cannot control it, what happens? War. And I know is a topic like you want to pursue, but at the same time you want to pursue it very carefully. Because there are a couple of countries already that are doing it, and the path, yes, is to independent somehow, but in another way is a very dangerous path. The other topic with AI in this area, I wanted to touch down on AI in war proceedings. I want to raise awareness. Have you heard of this school, Shajara Tayyaba? Have you heard about this school in news? All right. In very short, I share with you, in the early days of war, the target identification came from AI. So they gave the pool of information to AI, and AI decided which ones are more strategic to hit first. I'm really not sure how the process went on. It was not proper verification of the targets, but one of these very, very early targets, on the first day of war, in the first 20 minutes, 3 missiles hit a kids' school. And 168 children vanished. A couple of them, they cannot even find tracks of DNA. They like vaporized. That's the error of AI. That's why I'm very careful talking about the AI. In all topics is a new thing. We have to have legislations where we have to have proper SOPs, boundaries, how we use it to reduce the effect if there is an error. Thank you.
Yeah, oh, excellent point given. Okay, so which means we can agree that today's discussion is only simply technology transformations, but again, the 4P, people, planet, prosperity, as well as partnership, right? So the 4P. So therefore, thank you once again, our splendid, also distinguished speaker. Yeah. So I will pass back to our Mr. MC today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to Dr. Jain and all the keynote speakers. And I would like to request the moderator and all the keynote speakers to remain on the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall now proceed with the token of appreciation ceremony. These tokens are presented as a gesture of our sincere gratitude and appreciation for their time, expertise, and valuable contribution to IJC DSS 2026. I am pleased to invite Professor Dr. Hashim Fazil Arifin, accompanied by Dr. Rosli Zawati, to present the token of appreciation to our distinguished keynote speakers.
Thank you very much. Very good. Yeah. We need 3 hours.
Now, I would like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Ali Reza Mohammadi to receive the token of appreciation.
That was good.
Next, may I invite Madam Mumbina Kosandu to receive the token of appreciation.
That was good.
And may I invite Professor Dr. Benny Tanjung to receive the token of appreciation. And also I would like to invite all of the keynote speakers to come forward on the stage for the photo session. Please give them a round of applause once again to all the moderator and the keynote speakers. Next, I would like to invite all the guests of honor and the keynote speaker to join our participant below for the group photo session. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we shall now proceed to group photo sessions. May I respectfully invite our distinguished guests, keynote speakers, conference chairpersons, members of the organizing committee, and invited representatives to proceed to the front area with our guest of honor and the keynote speaker for the official photography session. please come forward.
Okay, ready? One, two, three. Freestyle. Thank you. Okay, one more. Wait, one more. Sorry.
We have one more photo session. Please come forward.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to all distinguished guest speakers, organizers, and the representative for your kind cooperation. We hope that this group photo session will serve as a lasting memory of the third International Joint Conference on Digitalization of Sustainable Social Sciences 2026. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our morning program. We will now break for lunch and a Jumaat prayer. Participants are kindly requested to proceed to the designated lunch area and prayer facilities at Via Mare Cafe on the right side of exit area.